Welcome back to Lecture 5, the course roadmap. So what do you think of the app? Wasn't that cool? I mean, that's what you're going to build in this course. And at the end, we're going to be building on and adding additional functionality. So you're going to be learning a lot of concepts and a lot of things. But let me give you a little idea of how this course is laid out. So we have 32 coding sessions, 4 challenges, 3 quizzes, and 3 exercises. So first, let me talk about what a difference between a challenge and an exercise. See, a challenge is where I kind of set the parameters, I kind of set you in a direction, but it's what's you're passionate about. What do you want to do? You have the flexibility to do whatever you want. See, you're going to be building your own app in parallel of building the music video app. So at different points of time when you get these challenges, you're going to take all the skills that you've learned so far and you're going to be building your own thing. And this is the best way to really step it up and really understand what you're doing. And it's a lot of fun. So it's really important to take these challenges. Now the exercises are, everybody pretty much has the same exercise. I'm going to tell you do something and everybody's going to pretty much have the same results. And then we have 3 quizzes. Now, the quizzes are not there to stump you. It's more of a gauge for you. See, if you're not doing well in the quizzes, that's just for you to know, you know what, maybe I should go back and revisit the lectures. If you go through the lectures, the quizzes should be pretty straightforward, but it's very important to understand the concepts and don't go forward until you really understand those concepts. Very, very important. So let me kind of give you a little bit of tips for success in this course. Don't skip over the concepts, like I say, without understanding them, all right? I don't want you to, sit down for 2 or 3 days and just do the whole course. You're not going to get much out of it that way. The whole point was to take your time. See, I made it in a way, especially with these 32 coding sessions. Each video is pretty brief, about 15 to 18 minutes on average, and you complete a specific task. You accomplish something. And then you have an opportunity to go back, dive deeper into the documentation, play around with it, truly understand what you're doing before you go to the next coding session. That is critical. That's how I planned and laid out this course. And again, you can't jump around with lessons because every single coding session relies on the work you did on the prior. We build upon everything. As a matter of fact, the sections on top, the web service technologies, is the building blocks that you need, the source control management. All that stuff is the stuff you need to when you get down to the coding session. So you have to take the courses in order. Don't jump around. And again, do the challenges. If you want to step it up, you want to step it up and stand out, and that's where you're going to get it from. You're going to learn a lot by doing these challenges. And the most other important thing is don't get frustrated when things don't go well. Making mistakes is good. You learn a lot. When you have a problem and you're struggling so hard to fix that problem, I want you to ask questions. It's very important. But I want you first to make sure you try everything first before you jump and ask those questions on the discussion boards. And if you do ask questions, try to ask questions that help you get closer to your answer. Just don't ask a question like, what's the answer? I mean, you're not going to get much out of it. And you don't realize when you struggle and you try to figure out an answer, and then believe me, it will take time, but you will solve the problem. You feel so good and empowered when you work hard, and you don't realize you learn so much. If you just do everything and everything runs perfectly, you really don't learn that much. But you learn more when you have all these problems and stuff. So take problems as an opportunity. Don't look at it as a bad thing. And everybody has a different learning style and a different thing. Eventually, it will click. All right. So let me go over the course curriculum and kind of point out some things to you here. So as you can see here, right now we're on section 1, intro to the course. So we already completed the first 4 lectures. You saw the demo. And like I say, it really looks good, and I am real excited. I can't wait to kind of start getting in and walking you through, because that's what you're going to build. You got an opportunity to meet a little about me and know my background, the goals of the course, and why you should take this course, what makes it different. And so you really, by now, you have a pretty good feel of this is not an ordinary course. This is a very different way, a very different style of how I teach it, how I go forward, and you're gonna notice that immediately. All right. So we're at the course roadmap now. So the next thing we're going to do, the next section, is going to be the web service technologies. You're going to learn all about REST APIs. You're going to learn about JSON. You're going to learn about what a JSON editor. You're going to learn all about the REST API, the iTunes REST API that we're going to be using. Now, this is a very important section because this is going to give you the building blocks for you to be able to go forward in the coding session. So it's very important to take this section. The next one that I like to always call is the object-oriented programming principles in Swift. Now, even if you know this stuff, if you say, oh, I know object-oriented programming, I know the concepts, the principles, take these lectures. I give a very interesting perspective and a different taste on how I do different things. And I think you're really going to like it. I mean, I like to call this the big picture part. I don't dive you in and get you confused with all this crazy stuff. I want you to understand the big picture. All right. It's very important to understand the big picture. And then later on, we will dive deeper and get into more when we get into the coding sessions. But you're not going to be seeing these terms for the first time. So it's really, really important. And the other thing is everything that we do in this section, we do all the examples in Swift. And you're going to love it. I think you're really going to enjoy this section. So even if you know the stuff inside out, take it. The next one here is I like to call the key concepts of iOS development. And again, the same thing that we did earlier, I want you to understand certain terminology and concepts because we'll be talking about that all the time when we get down to our coding session, like model view controller design pattern. I have 2 videos on that, even one with communication rules. So I'm going to explain it very simple in a way and give you really good examples. And I go through and I give you demos. I walk you through code and I actually show you what everything looks like. And you're gonna, when you get away with this section, you're gonna know that you're gonna be able to. If somebody asks you anything about what model view controller is or what the delegation and protocols are, singleton design pattern. Application lifecycle, the view controller lifecycle, you're going to be able to, on a high level, be able to explain that to them. And by having that knowledge now, on a bigger scale, when you get down to the code, it's going to click. You're going to go, oh, I know what he meant now. So don't worry. I'm just giving you the big picture now, and then we're going to be going through this over and over again in our coding session. So it's really important to understand. And this is, another critical section. So don't skip. Again, I keep saying don't skip it. You shouldn't skip anything, but this is really important. And then we get into source control. Now, this is something that a lot of developers overlook. All right. They say, what do I need source control management for? I'm working at home. I'm by myself. I'm not in a team. I'm not working in a work environment. Well, you're going to learn all about Git. You're going to learn about GitHub, and you're going to create your own free account, and you're going to have a remote repository. We're going to focus a lot on Xcode integration with Git, because everything that we do in this course is all wrapped around source control. So if you don't go through this section, when we get into the coding sessions and stuff, I'm going to be going through source control, creating branches, and you'll see that when we get to it. So you really need to understand this section here. And I get into a lot of behind the scenes stuff, especially with creating, how do we access the remote repository from our local machine? What kind of security takes place so we can push and pull information? And that's called SSH security. I get into the private public keys, how we set all this up. Again, I want you to understand the big picture. I mean, you don't need to know how everything works under the hood in terms of security, but you really need to know conceptually. If somebody would ask you, how does security work? Or if you're setting up a remote repository with GitHub, for example, how does it all work? I'm going to be walking you through that in great detail. And everything throughout this whole course will be always based upon, I'll always bring up things you'll get on questions if you were looking for an opportunity to become a developer, what kind of interview questions. So I'll always point out through this whole course things like that. And then we start our front end. And our front end is, I'm very big on making sure you understand what are all my objectives? What am I going to learn? And everything that we do, and every coding session that we do, I will always show you on the physical device what we're going to do. You're going to see it so you know what your expectations are before we get to the coding session. So I broke up the front end to multiple parts, and again, everything goes forward really logically. You're going to have a lot of fun. It's really it's like a roller coaster. It's really a journey, because every session you keep seeing that app build and build and build, and you keep adding more and more functionality. And then with the challenges in between, you're also now doing your own. You want to step it up, you're going to be stepping it up in this course. So again, if you follow what I said, you're going to get a lot out of this course, and you're really going to be able to take it to the next level and build incredible apps. And so we have our online, and then we have our featured functionality after we get through some of all the different parts of the online. So let me go over to the featured functionality here, because this is the part at the end when we start really seeing the app pop, playing music videos on your iPhone. You'd be amazed how it's really not that complicated. With our frameworks and libraries that Apple supplies, it's so easy to do this stuff, and yet it looks so impressive when you see it in action. And so we'll be playing video. We're going to be doing we're going to have a refresh bar, so you can pull down on your table list and it will go out to the API and refresh the data. And based on our settings page, as you saw in the demo, you're going to be able to determine if I want 10 to 200 music videos. I can determine how many music videos that I want to be able to have in my app, and I can refresh it because data changes throughout the day. If I want to refresh it, you can do it anytime you want without going in and out of your app. For social media, the share through Twitter, Facebook, messaging, email, in-app email, very important for all apps to be able to get feedback from the people that use your app, and so you're going to go through that. Touch ID with security, and how to do all that. So all this stuff is a lot of fun. And then we get down to what's next, where, as I mentioned to you, that our journey never ends. It just starts, because every single month I'll be adding more and more videos to you, and we'll be working together as a team, building our app out more. And you'll see, if you watch Our Journey Never Ends, lecture 77, that explains all that. And then of course section 12 is the bonus, which I walk through all in the Our Journey Never Ends part. So you kind of got a good feel of the layout of the course. So if you would take anything away out of this, the most important thing is take everything in order. Don't jump around. Do those challenges, and make sure you understand the concepts before you go forward. And please, don't rush at this course. Take your time, and go through it all. And believe me, if you follow these things, you will really step it up. So anyway, we get now the next lecture is our next section, Web Service Technologies, when we start working about REST API. So I will see you on the next lecture.